All right, we got the Farmall C, next project up, coming off the trailer. There we go, we got a drunk dozer driver, but next up. Well, here we are with the Farmall. You're running like a top here. It's a really cold day. A little bit hard time with a cold start, but she eventually fired up without too much trouble. It's about 25 degrees outside, so it's a little nippy, but purring like a kitten. All turned out really nice. 120 hours to upfit it, and after a 10-year hiatus, she's back on the mend, ready for some farm work. Welcome to Sam's Antique Motors Resto-Rat progress report on this little Farmall C tractor. I've got about 50 hours into just taking apart all the stuff on this tractor. This was the control arm. It was all froze up. Nothing worked. Now I got this all freed up. Rebuilt all the headlights. Pretty much gone through everything on the tractor that I could unbolt. And all of these parts are now completely restored. Distributors rebuilt. Generators rebuilt. Regulators redone. Cleaned up. Starters rebuilt. Got headlights rebuilt, carburetor rebuilt, intake manifold all cleaned up. So pretty much got everything it's going to take to put this tractor back together. And now I'm just working on getting the main tractor ready for it to get painted. And here's the main tractor. We pretty much got this taken apart. I power washed the shit out of it, got all the grease knocked off of it, and come in here and I've cleaned up everything I can. Anything I take off, I've sandblasted. Still got a little bit more prep work to do, but believe it or not, I've got it pretty clean. I've wire brushed the whole thing, got the front wheel off, taken all this stuff off, waiting on a part. This little governor thing is broken, so waiting for that to come in. See if I can pull these exhaust manifold studs out, clean those up. But I've gotten everything else kind of taken off, and these tractors were actually painted all together. So it's not going to be that much of a departure, but I've gotten pretty much everything ready to go. So we'll be doing a little bit of final preparation on it, and then we'll prime it with DP90 and then shoot some red on it. Stay tuned. And here we are with a little DP90 primer on it. Yesterday I came in and scuffed everything with a wire brush, degreased the shit out of everything, and with a brake cleaner, taped off a few shafts that I didn't want painted, and I think it's going to turn out really nice. Got it all primed up. Since some of this is going over existing paint, and we're going to seal it up, so put a little reducer with the DP90, and that got it, made it a primer sealer. So now we're ready to shoot some red on it, and we'll start putting it back together. There you go. And here we are, thinking of a song, everything I see is red. So we got it all painted up, got all the tape off of it. Seems like it looks pretty good, and I think I got everything painted. I don't see any bare spots, so we'll start putting this thing back together. Well, after about 6 hours, I now have it more or less put back together. Control tower's in, seat box, PTO, all the cabling, got all the gauges and switches put back in and wired. all the rear lights in. Just got to get a gasket for it. Got all the springs, clutches, implement lifts, generator, wiring. So now I'm just waiting on a few parts to bag it up. All right, I think I'm ready to do some paint work on the body parts. I got the tractor all put back together. The sheet metal had more problems than I thought. Once we got it cleaned up, we had rust holes through several places, particularly up on this shroud, a bunch of rust holes up here. So I spotted those in, welded them all back in, and then put just a light bit of filler just to fill up the, the little indents and creases, not much. And the gas tank had 2 dents, 1 dent down here, 1 bigger dent right there. So I pulled them out as much as I could and then put a little filler in there. It's a little bit of a quandary because some of these dents are just inherent in the way that it's produced. There's one right here on both sides. You can see there's 3 dents up in the top, but that's just from where it was formed. This hood had some real problems. Had a whole big rusted out piece in here, so I came in and welded a little patch panel into there. And then once we sandblasted, we had several more holes through the hood. And then this place right here, this bracket was all rusted out. So welded that back up, got all the holes welded solid, and then just put a thin skim of filler on here to try to take out some of the rust pits. Can't do too much in the way of filler because this is it's a real flexible piece of hood. So I got the last pieces here ready to put some primer on them, and then fix any little final divots, and then we'll paint them red. Now I got all the body work done. I got a couple of coats of high build primer on them, and I've misted them with just black cheap spray paint as a guide coat. And I'll sand that off, and that'll tell me if I got any scratches or high and low spots. But I got the hood all done and the gas tank all done, and I painted the bottoms and insides red so that I'll have to paint that vertically so I can lay down the flat and spray it. So got everything done, got the drawbars painted. We'll put some red on it this afternoon. And here's what a guide coat does. So you can see I started to sand this primer off and the guide coat off, and every one of those little dark spots is either some orange peel or a divot. And this side over here, I've got sanded out. So whenever you get it where it's just no gray spots anywhere on there, then you know you've got it nice and flat and all the holes out. And now you see what it looks like after all the flat spots are taken out of it. It's like I got a little bit more to go right there. Kind of an interesting point. This is where the spot weld is, where they spot weld the bracket on. I always have a quandary on whether or not you take those out or leave them. There's a matching one on this side. So your spot welds on both sides where this bracket is spot welded onto the hood. And I generally favor leaving those. If it came from the factory like that, then I usually leave them. So next thing, we'll go to red. Well, I think we're ready to see if we can get this baby fired off. Give it a little choke maybe. Keys on. Choke off. See if it'll go. Well, we got it fired off. Sounds like it's running okay. This upside down filter element looks like it's not quite in alignment in the gap. So I'm just gonna have to drain the oil out of that filter and reset that gasket. But looks like it's firing off. So after 9 years of not running, that's a good thing. Well, we're out for a little test drive on the Farmall Super C. We're gonna put it in gear here and see how she does. Man, super smooth, super smooth. Runs like a purring kitten. Not even too bad to turn. See if the governor works. Coming up a hill. Comes under a load, it should speed up a little bit. Yep, there it goes. A little bit of gas in it. And it's just running really nicely. Very nice. This is next up. Farmall beef. Just wanted to do a quick walk around on this tractor. It just turned out super nice. Went through all the generator. It was pretty easy to do. Put new hood springs in it. Went through the carburetor. Again, very, very simple. It's a Carter UT carburetor. I metallized with cast iron paint the exhaust manifold, put a new air cleaner. This is an oil bath air. I think it's called a pre-cleaner. So it's got oil in the bottom of that with a pre-cleaner screen up here. These Farmall C's came with what was called touch control. So these levers up here operate the test control. These are all seized up, but I got them all put back together. I don't actually know where they go. I'm gonna put some hydraulic fluid in it, but these are the touch control lift panels, arms. So those controls drive these hydraulic pump, which lifts those. It's got a little choke rod here that chokes the carburetor. Got two really nice Farmall original lights with glass lenses in them, and got the stickers back on it, more or less where it goes. This tractor has the original wrenches that came with it right here in the back. So these wrenches will pretty much do any kind of big nuts that are on this tractor. So we got the two original wrenches and the crank. There's a little clips here that holds the crank in. Got the original gauges in here. They all look really nice. So water and amp meter. Looks like the amp meter stuck on. There we go. Looks like it was just a little stuck there. But it is showing charging when it's running, so that's good. It's moving. Original steering wheel on it. And this is the PTO back here. So this little lever here engages the PTO. And I got that all cleaned up. Got a outbound PTO shaft down here. Got the drawbar down here. Put a little 2-inch ball on it. I don't know that it originally had these, but I put this non-stick adhesive tape on here because it's kind of dicey getting in and out of this thing. It's so tall. Got a new shock spring. This is the pin, but you lift this up, undo these bolts to let the seat go back and forth. So that's the slide pin for the seat. That all done nicely. I came in and reparkerized all the bolts. Had to get a new battery box in the middle. This is the hydraulic pump. Comes out of there, runs up here through this hydraulic pump right here, which drives the touch control lift. This is a Purelator upside down filter. I'm not sure who thought that was a good idea, but that's the way they did it. Went through the starter. There's been some dialogue on the forums about starters, so put a new starter rebuild in it, and put the Delco Remy plate with a proper ID back on it, a new switch. And this is the accelerator pad here. So this has got notches. I usually start it with about 1/3 up. Redid the gas tank, got all the dings out of the gas tank. If you have one of these old tractors, please don't set anything on the hood or the gas tank, because it's really hard to get those dents out. Went through the distributor. Oddly enough, this thing had a point gap of about 1/8 of an inch, so I'm not sure how it was running before, but it's running good now. This goes up to the governor. You can hear when it came up the hill. All the bolts that are original bolts, these Farmall bolts, all seem to have this little button in the middle. So I glass beaded all of those, and you can see every one of them have this little button, even the little bolts that are original bolts, and I reparkerized all those. Clutch, brake, had to rebuild the this brake lock switch, so each wheel locks independently. This is the starter cable right here. It's got a really handy dandy little fuel sediment bowl up in there to shut off the fuel. So I've done that, and had to go through quite a bit of body work on the hood, and there's still a couple of little indentions in it, which may have actually kind of been in there from the factory because they're equal on both sides, but you can't do much body work on that hood. I welded up all the rusted out parts, but it flexes, so if you put any kind of filler on it, it's going to just pop right off of there. This grill had quite a bit of problems with it. This had big hole rusted through the side there. This whole strip down the front of this had lots of holes, so I welded up all those holes, straightened up all the grills as best I could, and put a new badge up on the front. This is the winged radiator cap. Looks really nice. Got a new muffler on it, and this is the little, I think they call it a tricycle wheel, but some people call it a potato wheel, evidently. So I've got the potato wheel, new tire, and everything on it is rebuilt. And this is pretty much about what this tractor would look like new. So it's turned out really nice. Total of 120 hours to rebuild everything, repaint it. I didn't have to go into any of the rear brakes or gearboxes or any of that like that, but had been sitting for about 10 years, so did have to get the motor spinning right and back in shape, but everything works really nice on it. Hope you enjoyed that. Well, I hope you learned something today. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to ring that bell so you get notification of future videos that will be equally as exciting as the one you just watched. Now, before you go, give me a thumbs up on the video and drop a comment in the comment box if you got any kinds of questions or just think you got to sound off on something. If you have something specific you want to know how to do, well, leave me a comment and I'll see if I can't capture some content for a future video. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you back here for another Resto-Rat episode real soon.
Download the Resto-Rat app today to begin managing, tracking, and documenting your restoration project.